This is a film about the drug of our time, alcohol. It makes us merry, mighty, and mopey. Drinkers are temporarily wise, spouters of truth and lies, impossibly witty, relaxed, full of love and adoration, or just angry with irrational hate and violence. Don't look at me funny, pal, or I'll deck you. It only takes that first drink for things to spiral. One thing leads to another. Everyone around you has collapsed. You're broke and bloated. But everyone else did what you did, which makes it absolutely fine. It's very hard to know when you've had enough, though. Many people continue long after the night is really over. Alcohol gives you the confidence to try and impress girls you fancy.
All aboard for Britain remaining in the European Union.
And gives senators the courage to impress when public speaking.
Mr. Campbell, send an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. The amendment is adopted.
Scientists have even used animal testing to study the effects of alcohol. This rat was given a Jaeger bomb on the hour, every hour, to measure behavior. In the end, he tried and failed to contact his ex-girlfriend. They've also found that dolphins love a lager.
Gives a pint, mate. Yeah, gives a pint and a kebab, son. Gives a beer and a babby boy. Aye, gives a cold one, you wee rascal.
Pubs offer a warm, cosy environment, where patrons are treated to the finest hospitality, and put up in plush surroundings. Pubs are Britain's home from home. And let me tell you, when it comes to the swallows, mums eat free. But there's a dark side to liquor. Drinking hard booze made this stamp collector go bald. He's become so embarrassed about how ugly it makes his silhouette that he's asked us to hide his identity. Watch out for the severe come-down too. This man's just been told it's last orders at the bar. But where did drinking begin? What does the science say about it? And how does it cause harm to society? This film is the inside story of drinking, and will argue that—
Hang on, are you watching this on your phone?
There cannot be good living where there is not good drinking. Benjamin Frank—
I'm not reading the quotes. Okay, sorry, yeah. But he would have had an American accent anyway, wouldn't he? So— well, it doesn't matter, I'm not reading them.
Alcohol was first devised by cavemen keen to find a way to put up with pointless small talk.
Have you been keeping well? Yes, you. 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 Yes, you.
Being drunk also meant that Neanderthals, who had to walk vast distances to hunt food and gather resources, felt it only took half as long to walk home. Catastrophically hot summers in exposed terrain propelled tribal elders from this clan to invent mulled wine. Because hot drinks cool you down. With the dawn of Christianity during the 1st century, representing Christ's bodily fluids with a symbolic drink became the norm. The blood of Christ was red wine, whilst the pus of Christ was eggnog, and the phlegm of Christ was crème de menthe, which is French for cream of the month. Prohibition in the United States lasted from 1920 to 1933. during which time the production, sale and distribution of alcoholic beverages was all illegal. Most big liquor manufacturers were German, like Budweiser, so it was seen as unpatriotic to consume their products. Many Americans disapproved of immigrants for this reason, whilst others did so because they feared progress, knowledge, logic, or basic humanity. Those who supported prohibition were called dries, because they were the sort of people who couldn't satisfy their partners. Meanwhile, the so-called wets campaigned to end the alcohol ban, mainly from bed. Prohibition resulted in thousands of illegal drinking venues, known as speakeasies. Soon, there were more speakeasies than there had been bars before Prohibition, and by 1930, there were as many speakeasies as people, meaning each person had to sit drinking alone in each one. Illegal alcohol was produced in bathtubs, and it was much stronger than it ever had been before Prohibition. This moonshine was eventually banned, because it made people go blind. Many complained of double standards, however, as solar eclipses and sperm were allowed to remain at large. To avoid being caught for smuggling liquor across borders, beer runners in transit developed a cunning method to hide bottles. In their ass. This covert technique was retired when the cap of a fizzy botty, inside a smuggler's body, was blown off by excess pressure, launching young Salvatore Morello 100 feet into the air on a powerful jet of frothy fermented fuck-up. He survived, but spent the rest of his life sleeping on his side. This risky method of smuggling resurfaced in the modern day, however, when a terrorist on Flight 741 swapped the alcohol for an improvised explosive device, powered by a powdered orange drink. It didn't go to plan, and the terrorist's arse erroneously caught fire somewhere over Pittsburgh. No passengers were harmed, they just laughed at the bomber, who looked a proper Burke. He went bright red, and died from embarrassment, in many ways making it a successful suicide bombing. Ultimately, Prohibition and its methods were an experiment that took a great toll on the American people, as seen in the gripping documentary, Bugsy Malone. In the 1950s, star of stage and screen Winston Cliff passed away, but had been so tipsy at his funeral planning meeting that he decided to do his tombstone in the style of TV show credits. During the Cold War, anything with Russia in its name was banned and confiscated if discovered. The embargo outlawed the milk-based cocktail called a White Russian, and of course White Russian people themselves, who were humanely destroyed on sight. The Cold War is long gone now, of course, and thankfully the two sides are now bezies, thanks to soft diplomatic measures like allowing money laundering, assassinations, and warmongering. Ah, friendship. Resolving Soviet relations paved the way for the cross-cultural exchanges we have between East and West today, such as the BBC's hit cooking and chat format, Gone Fishing. Come the 1990s, the UK was hit by a new phenomenon: binge drinking. Binge is a sweet drink, made by adding fizzy pop and sugar to alcohol. Flavouring is achieved by using the rank dirty water you find in an upturned glass after a dishwasher cycle. The brightly coloured branding of binge is cynically targeted at young people, meaning it's especially popular with boarding school kids, and anyone else who has been abandoned by their parents so they can go on holiday at the drop of a hat. The sweetness of the drink masks the alcoholic taste the kids aren't used to yet, making it the perfect gateway drug to get them hooked. Once they've drunk binge, in a gateway, there's a 90% chance the kids will go on to try much harder substances, such as Brighton Rock. Despite this rise in binge drinking, increasing numbers of those aged 16 to 24 are choosing to be teetotal. meaning they only drink tea. To reinforce this and curb young drinkers, the current former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced at the Tory conference that he would raise the drinking age by 1 year every year, so that no one under the age of 14 would ever be able to buy a pint. This means that in the year 2075, a 65-year-old pensioner will have to ask a 66-year-old pensioner to buy them a few bottles of binge. Unfortunately, governments of yesteryear have tried and failed to implement similar policies, which shift the attention of young people towards healthier pursuits, such as subsidizing jacuzzis for schools vouchers. It's an uphill battle in a commercial climate where the latest line of Sylvanian Families products come with a half-empty bottle of Jack, meaning children play act wild benders, staying up as late as 6:23 in the evening. Daniel Radcliffe struggled with drinking early on in his career, under the immense weight of a role he undertook with more bravery than the character he played. The issues began during his first Harry Potter press conference, when he and his co-children were given wine glasses to chug own-brand acidic Sophie B. Asked whether her penchant for warm white wine ever got her into trouble, 10-year-old Emmy W. came clean.
I'm not top form goody two-shoes, no.
Rupee G initially resisted the urge to be a ginger binger, but caved in when he watched the first 7 minutes of his farty flop film Thunderpants, and fell off the wagon. A wagon he hadn't even been sitting in yet. This man, Derek Merrick, was on the receiving end of alcohol's ability to drastically alter the human body. After a big session down his local, he woke up one morning looking like 1990s Michael Jackson. As word spread, adoring fans swarmed his driveway just to get a glimpse of the king of pop through his bedroom window. When Derek finally emerged to go and buy his weekly scratch card though, the disappointed mob turned violent, forcing him to the ground and shouting that he was just a Poundland Davy Crockett. In the riot aftermath, Derek discovered that his scratch card had won him $100,000 a year for life. The traumatic incident had left him unable to enjoy things in the moment though, and when you feel nothing during good times, he reasoned, they may as well be bad times. Derek Merrick would have traded all his winnings just to feel again. Alcohol has historically been glamorized by books, film, and TV, none more so than by James Bond, who likes his drinks shaken, not stirred, much to his deficit in the Fleming short story Risico, when Bond opens a bottle of Lilt. The cultural icon was celebrated at the London 2012 Olympics, when he jumped out of a helicopter with the Queen. For the stunt, the ever-spirited monarch insisted she jump out herself, as she had a wonderful sense of humour. But she plummeted to her death. Subsequently, a body double called Mabel was used at all state duties. When members of the Women's Institute discovered that they had not met the real Queen, who had supposedly visited the WI, the collective sense of shame drove all 200,000 members to eat Victoria sponges laced with a fatal dose of hemlock. There's no completely safe level of...
Oh shit. Sorry. I forgot. I'm absolutely parched.
Alcohol is produced through the process of fermentation, where yeast or bacteria convert sugars into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This was discovered when ancient holy men did not wash their bits, and developed yeasty beasties that fermented to produce genital aperitifs. Alcohol molecules all contain the hydroxyl functional group, OH. They are a homologous series and have the general formula CnH2n plus 1 OH full stop.
Oh shit.
Alcohol types are named with the suffix -ol, such as ethanol, methanol, and my Auntie Carol, who gets well pissed. But what would a top scientist say about the harms of drinking? Well, I've no idea. But I did find a doctor who had completed almost 5/10 of a medical degree. She said the following about the effects of alcohol.
Thank you for your email. I'm flattered you would ask me. but I regret that I cannot contribute to your film as I'm currently spending time at His Majesty's pleasure.
Can you do it again? You don't really sound like you want to be doing it.
Me, right now?
Yeah. Can you sound more like you're in prison?
What does that mean?
Billions of pounds have been spent to discover the miracle cure for a hangover. Through peer-reviewed research, pioneering clinical trials, and groundbreaking vaping breaks, titans of science now sit on the verge of a hangover breakthrough. But until it occurs, we'll just have to keep dying in bed. The tight grip of alcoholism is such that many addicts attend Alcoholics Anonymous to pursue abstinence-based recovery, one day at a time. This patient told us that what he values most about AA meetings is the anonymity it affords him. Whilst addiction is a lifelong condition, many in recovery are able to bounce back. The successful paint company Farrow & Ball was set up by actor Mia Farrow and recovering alcoholic Bobby Ball. Together they conceived novel colours, such as Beverly's Gunk, Satin Morgue, Jazzy Tendencies, and Regret. This kebab shop owner is adamant that drinking is harmless, and says that without the revenue from drunk customers, he'd never be able to fund his own drink habit. With advancements in DNA testing technology, the drinks industry has faced increased regulatory scrutiny. In 2010, when the world was normal, more sensitive tests revealed that many popular beers contain trace amounts of pregnant women.
A wee bit surprising, but wonderful nonetheless. I think the whole country will be cheered by the news.
Breweries introduced labels to fight the PR war, and the industry pointed out that drinking small amounts of those with child was not actually dangerous, though they did concede that it had the potential to increase cravings for things like ice cream, curry, and foot massages. They were proved right when high streets became inundated with young drinkers in the small hours, sat around with hot water bottles. The impact of drinks testing also extended to the food industry. Come the year 2013, a scandal erupted across Europe as beef products were found to contain improperly declared amounts of illicit horse meat. In other words, literal Trojan horse. Particularly unamused were Greek customers, who had long faces. Meanwhile, French customers were appalled to discover that there was revolting beef in their delicious horse meat. Regulators even went undercover, disguising themselves as shopping trolleys and baskets. One burger was found to contain the DNA of a horse owned by Princess Anne, so it was given a full state funeral, riding through the centre of London on a gun carriage, pulled along by his family and friends. Commentators tracked the animal inside the round disc of mince as the procession raced through town.
And into the final funeral furlong comes this fine thoroughbred. He's owned by the Princess Royal and running this part of the course well, given he's among a beef patty.
During the service, the former Prime Minister David Cameron paid tribute with an emotional reading from the menu of Gourmet Burger Kitchen. The burger was then laid to rest, so its juices could redistribute to make it extra succulent. The idea of such a very, very juicy burger moved a previous former Chancellor George Osborne to tears when he was told he couldn't have one for his tea. When traces of horse were found in Tesco, Naughty's indie band Horse Meat Disco sued for copyright and intellectual property infringement. The judge ruled that no right-minded person would confuse the phrase Horse Meat Tesco with Horse Meat Disco, but conceded he was stupid enough to do so, and ruled in favour of the loud-shirted claimants. The scandal echoed alarm bells from medieval times, when a similar problem had rocked all levels of feudal society. The Whore's Meat Scandal, during which meat from whores, as they quite wrongly and misogynistically called prosers, was found in oxen, goat, and mutton meat. Many lonely peasants, however, were grateful to have someone inside them without having to pay for it, and recorded their experiences on vast sexy tapestries. In the wake of the Horse Meat Scandal, Horse Meat Scandal, Horse d'oeuvre Scandale, and Horse Meat Disco Scandalgate, the food industry underwent sweeping changes, all of which have increased their profits and propensity to produce ultra-processed non-foods that harm child development and reduce life expectancy. Progress.
I didn't read that one out, so that's good. Shit.
These days, cocktails are all the rage. Mixology is the art of cocktail making, and a mixologist is an Australian in London.
Perfect.
Zoom revolutionized drinking during the pandemic, when social groups sprung up online, allowing big drinkers to find other like-minded enablers to convince them that they weren't drinking alone at home, or depressed about the absolute state of everything, even though they were. But virtually, so it was sort of fun. Yeah? This year, Zoom was purchased by tech entrepreneur Lex Vapid, who renamed the company to a 37-word sentence, just because he didn't have to. Today, sex work is rightly an empowering choice, enabled by online platforms and escorting websites. But is there any stock in the idea that alcohol and drugs drive many to work in this lucrative, but potentially exploitative area? It's the oldest profession in the world, other than being Joe Biden. To investigate alcohol's grip on the trade, I went undercover to a London brothel, posing as a potential client, known in these circles as a John. I was daunted at first, because my name isn't John, and my job is an actor. So some Dutch courage was in order. I thought of Amsterdam for 10 minutes. That seemed to work. As did 6 pints. But I needn't have worried. I could tell I impressed the woman with my sense of humour, as she laughed when I got undressed. Plus she was 10 on 10 stunner babes, and hella professional. This opinion was shared by all of her colleagues I spoke to, including this madam, who asked to remain anonymous and have her voice disguised, for fear her friends and family would think that what she was getting herself into was plain silly.
Blobby, 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 blobby. Oh, blobby, 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 blobby. Oh, blobby.
After the undercover sex, which we did under the covers, I sobered up, but I didn't really feel any closer to the truth. Back at home, my girlfriend was, though, after a brief argument. Carrying out the side dresser as Angela moved me out of her flat, I pondered the enormous benefit the sex work must bring to the economy. The postcards in phone boxes alone must be a printer's goldmine. Angela said she didn't want to listen to me drone on about Vistaprint after what I'd done. I told her it was just work. She said it was just drink. She knows me.
I think that's why I love her. Why I'd be lost without her. Where do I go now? The pub?
It remains forbidden to drink alcohol in the Houses of Parliament, unless you are the Chancellor delivering the annual budget statement, which explains all the mad shit they say.
Trinity Quantum. Valéry Giscard d'Estaing.
Former Chancellor Philip Hammond took advantage of this loophole during one of his budgets.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm being tempted with something a little more exotic here.
This made him and his Treasury colleagues so drunk that they spent the remainder of the NHS budget projecting an image of Kim Kardashian onto the side of the Palace of Westminster. They had given her the body of Pavarotti. When Kardashian saw it, she was so shocked and appalled that all her hair fell out. The Chancellor spun it as pioneering NHS reform, but with the Tories depleting the NHS budget for laughs, hospitals have been forced to combine services, informing patients of critical updates using eye tests. The failed Kardashian prank resurfaced in 2022, when Oscars presenter Chris Rock licked Kardashian's bald head after she had presented an award. Her ex-husband Kanye West leapt up and kicked Chris Rock in the gooch, telling him to keep his wife's head out of his fucking mouth. It was an uncharacteristically outspoken moment from the usually private and demure Kanye West, who likes to avoid the spotlight. Studies have found that 20% of popular songs contain references to excessive drinking. This is most prevalent in rap music's obsession with Cristal, hip-hop's love of cognac, and the drug-crazed work of the King's College Cambridge Choir. It was therefore agreed at the most recent G20 summit that there would be no more new music made, as there were already enough songs to be getting on with. This angered young people, who were waiting for Taylor Swift to re-record and release the sound of some farts she did in 2014, but as her version. Fans of handyman turned country singer Nick Knowles also protested down the Mall, aggrieved that they'd never be able to hear new music from him. They went for a pint afterwards, all 10 of them.
Great. Really nice.
Eventually, world leaders U-turned on the proposal, however, as the sexiest 5 of them had decided to form a new boy band, called the Premiers. They were signed to Psycho Records. When confronted with this, Simon Cowell said,
I got the biggest telling off.
So, given the turbulent history of drinking, the emphatic signs around its harms, and the current social and political landscape in Britain, where does our alcohol obsession leave us? Healthy or sick? With our hair pulled back? Well, all in all, drinking is a proper laugh, or is it? Don't be boring. It's just a bit of fun, or a dangerous turn down a dark alley. It's not the problem. You are. I'm not myself when I drink. Everyone else is fine with it, because they're actually happy with themselves. I always think it'll be the escape I need, but it never is. Just have a swig, and you'll feel better. Why can I never stop after a few? It'll make you feel different. And feeling any other way would mean feeling better right now. I don't feel good at the moment. You don't want to keep feeling like you are, do you? But that's precisely what alcohol wants you to think.
Boo, 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 boo. I want you in my room to spend the night together from now until forever. Boo, boo, boo. I want a double boom to spend the night together, together in my room.